In today's world, technology is running our lives. Life didn't stop altogether. College classes, church services, meetings, and sporting events are still happening, but now everything is now done virtually. That is the new favorite word that is plastered everywhere to describe the activities that we used to attend in person. Our lives have now changed, and the media has grown to be a ginormous part of it. As people living in 2020, we have had to adapt to a new normal by getting on the computer and watching. Today, I will talk about how social media and media literacy plays a significant role in all of our lives. I am credible to talk about how social media and its impact because I have done research and use social media every day. Today, my first point is how media literacy is important to learn. My second point is how social media uses psychology. And my third point is how social media effects have been increased. The so okay. And my third point is how social media effects have recently increased. My first point is how media literacy is important to learn and understand. Developing media literacy knowledge is beneficial to everyone, not just children. Becoming aware of how the internet works lets us know how our data is being used and distributed. If adults are aware of how the internet works, then their children can be taught how to be safe with what they post. Learning about the media at a young age will help them in the future. While learning how the internet works as an adult is a great way to understand how your child will be seeing and learning while online. If you aren't media literate yourself, have your child help you. Learning about privacy settings will help you hide information from the public. Having your child help you understand the internet shows how you are interested in what they are doing and that you care that their information is safe from the public. According to Pew Research Center's Internet and American Life Project, 73% of U.S. adults used networking sites in 2013, which was up 6% in 1 year. With that jump in users ages 50 to 64, 60% were using social media, 65 and older, 45% were using social media. Facebook has the highest number of visits to a social network at 61.4% in 2014. Social media platforms like Facebook carry to an older demographic, and being educated about media by the media literacy might be scarce. The amount of misinformation that is created and shared on Facebook, most pertaining to the election and political views, has resulted in Facebook reviewing posts, marking them as false, and filtering the posts from news feeds. This shows with this helps with showing trustworthy sources, but also a way that the internet can influence our perspectives. Now that I have discussed how media literacy is important to understand and learn, I will now discuss how social media uses psychology. My second point is how social media isn't a tool that's waiting to be used. It it now has its own psychology and is waiting to be used against us. In the 2020 documentary found on Netflix called Social Dilemma, this informs us how much social media knows about us and how it's affecting society. Interviewee Sandy Parkalis, former Facebook operations manager and former Uber interviewee Sandy Parkalis, former Facebook operations manager and former Uber production manager, explains how social media platforms run experiments on their users. He said, "You are all lab rats. We are all lab rats. They make artificial intelligence or AI to mimic us and predict our next move. Algorithms are used to show us to, Algorithms are used to show us things that are related to our own interests. This might be why you keep seeing those advertisements for the items you have recently Googled or shopped for. These platforms have figured out how to keep us getting back. Every time that someone is liking our post, tagged us in a post, or etc., it is our brain is releasing dopamine. This is why social media is so addicting. It's constantly giving the users a reason to come back. Every notification we get on our phone is one more way we are reminded of our phones." We have moved away from a tool-based technology environment and we have moved to an addictive technology environment. Dr. Anna Lembeek from Stanford University says social media is a drug. This is a tool that will bring people together, but it also has the possibility to become very addictive. During the documentary, tech experts explained how they even fell prey to their addiction of social media. Tim Kendall explained how he tried the willpower to limit his social media access. The documentary showed a family eating at a table while a mother locked the phones in a timed container, while the family member begs to see their phones and even getting in heated conversations. This shows how we cannot go for a short period of time without our phones because they have constantly keep us interested. This year isn't making being addicted to our phones any better. Using the internet for everything and also using it as a quick time passer. Social media platforms are experiencing an increasing number of users, but we are using social media as a coping mechanism to avoid the current effects of the pandemic. In India, an increase in usage of 75% of spending time on Facebook, Twitter, and WhatsApp app. Social media can be used as a source of validation and reinforcement for ourselves by sharing our own daily activities so we can draw others' attention. COVID-19 has led people to use social media to fill the void of physical interaction. With the increase in internet use, is society's mental health at risk? Now that I have discussed how social media uses psychology, I will now discuss how it is affecting Gen Z. My third point is not only has the coronavirus took a hit on mental health, but adding the effects of social media with the mental health is a serious danger. This pandemic may continue to have increased long-term adverse consequences on children and adolescents. This pandemic has caused young children to experience disturbed This pandemic has caused young children to experience disturbed sleep, nightmares, poor appetite, agitation, inattention, and separation-related anxiety. Just because school is going virtual and the thought of learning in the comfort of your bed sounds very nice, there is more negative effects than positive. Confinement has led to anxiety being Confinement has led to anxiety, which is causing more children to disrupt their education, physical activities, and socialization. Being at home has made children more clingy and dependent on parents. But overall, the restriction imposed on the younger generations can have a long-term negative effect on their overall psychological well-being. On top of COVID affecting mental health, social media has led to depression and anxiety in American teenagers. With growing up in this generation, Gen Z is the first generation to have got on social media in middle school. In 2011, the number for hospital admittance for harming themselves grew 62% for teen girls and 198% for preteen girls. Suicide is experiencing the same pattern. Preteen girls are up 151% from the beginning of the century. Kendall says these services are killing people. Gen Z is becoming more depressed and an anxious generation. A child can no longer be a child. They are exposed and vulnerable to reality way too soon. Social media has made a big difference in generations. Have you ever thought about how Gen Z is punished? The most common way to threaten your child to behave better is the simple line that changes everything. I will take your phone away from you. Gen Z has grown up and became so addicted that they will listen and obey their parents at the cost of losing their phone. This punishment is even more known since the time at home with your family has increased tremendously. Maybe that punishment wouldn't be so bad for them if they knew their mental health can benefit from it. With increased screen time, parents are being cautious of what their children are exposing themselves to. Since the children are at home and instead of at school, parents are having to teach their child media literacy. Parents are searching the internet together, encouraging how to be careful with your clicking, and talking about age restrictions on websites, making them aware of these things that can help keep your child safe on the internet. In conclusion, with the increase of social media users during COVID-19, media literacy needs to be taught and enforced to protect the users. We need to be aware of how social media affects us so we can use it to our advantage and know our disadvantages. Today, I talked about how social media literacy can play a significant role in our lives. By being media literate, this will educate the users on how much personal information that the media knows about us and can use to manipulate our own minds. During this time of uncertainty, the media platforms should not be taking advantage of us. We need to be aware of how the sudden increase in technology during COVID-19 will affect us now and in the future. Thank you.